Every team has its good days and then some bad days. However, the most important thing is to learn from your mistakes and make amends moving forward, and that's exactly what the San Francisco quarterback Trey Lance is doing after the 49ers' recent loss. In today's video, we'll talk about Lance acknowledging the mistakes made in the game and what he hopes to achieve moving forward. First off, what's the whole story? The starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers had a reality check after their recent game against the Chicago Bears. Trey had a terrible day on the field, and it was his first game as the lead-up man for the 49ers, and despite having huge potential, the quarterback just couldn't keep up with the expectations. The close 19-10 loss resulted in criticism of the second-year quarterback by fans. Even though the stars shine bright in some moments of the game, nevertheless, we will believe it all part of the learning process for the young star. This was a third career start for him, and he undoubtedly has a long way to go in his career. It's true that the rainy weather in Chicago played its part in making things difficult for the 49ers and its 22-year-old lead man. However, the young star just couldn't carry himself the way people expected him to. Before we get into the details of what mistakes were made, allow us to say that despite putting on a lackluster performance, the youngster deserves appreciation for having the right attitude. He accepted his mistakes during the game by the team and especially himself, and that's a good start if you ask us. Up next, the mistakes made in the game. First of all, let's talk about the newbie stats from the game. Trey completed around 13 of 28 passes for 164 yards and 1 interception. However, he failed to post any touchdowns during the game. These numbers, while not too bad, still seem a bit low considering the potential he has. Now, let's go over some mistakes made by the newcomer. The biggest one came during the most crucial minutes of the game. The young player threw an obvious and below par pass to connect with Jennings near the midfield. However, it was picked up perfectly by the Bears defensive player Eddie Jackson in stride at midfield. One of the reasons Eddie was able to intercept the pass was that the play was just too obvious to read. The 49ers were down 3 points at the moment with only 10 minutes to play left in the last quarter of the game. Taking possession of the ball, Bears scored a touchdown that provided to be the final nail in the coffin for San Francisco. What made the matter worse was the fact that the 49ers gained possession of the ball twice afterward. However, Lance could only get the ball moving for only 42 yards. Don't get us wrong, it's not like it was all mistakes on the second-year quarterback part. He also made a couple of impressive throws that contributed 54 rushing yards on 13 attempts of the day. However, the performance of the squad that made it to the NFC Championships last season just wasn't what it should have been. Moving on, other mistakes in Lance's response. If there's one thing that calls for appreciation, it was the quarterback's response to his mistakes. He seemed to be in good spirits after the game, but he didn't fail to take stock of all the blunders committed during the march. The 22-year-old acknowledged through the team website that it's actually the defense that kept him in the game. He also added that he had a big miss with Taylor in the end zone. The young star tried connecting with a perfect pass. However, he believed that he should have put it right on him when he was open. He also admitted that one of the mistakes turned over the ball and cost them a sack. He also noted the time when he got the team knocked out of the field goal range. Lance also remarked that he shouldn't have missed Deebo Samuel on the third down and Juan Jennings on another third down. We know what you're thinking. These are just too many mistakes, and you'd be right to think so. However, to Lance's credit, he took ownership of the mistakes made on his part. Not only that, the man displayed a positive attitude towards the shortfalls and vowed to improve himself in the areas where he lacked. As per the quarterback, he had a lot of stuff to improve on. However, he maintained that he's as excited as ever for the future games and improvement. He also added that he's standing upright and wouldn't let a bad day affect his future performances. The second-year signal caller also remarked that he was excited for the next week. Moving on, should he be criticized or appreciated? You can be the judge of that. Undoubtedly, the 22-year-old made a lot of mistakes that just cannot be overlooked in the NFL. It would have been fine if the college football player, however, it's not. The 10-19 loss against an opponent that went 6-11 last year is proof enough that the 49ers need to pull up their socks. At the same time, the young signal caller didn't come up with any excuse for the mistakes. Instead, he took ownership and enlisted all the mistakes on his own accord, and that's a big thing indeed. So it's up to you whether you look at the blunders made and fret over them or appreciate the support of the men on his way to improvement. Coming up next, some other news. First off, NFL Player Association calls for a concussion rule change. The NFL Players Association, in the bid to improve the safety protocols for the players, has put forth a demand to make concussion rule changes before the next round of games. The move comes after the Miami Dolphins signal caller Tua Tagovailoa continued playing for the team despite having sustained a head injury in their match against the Buffalo Bills. The star quarterback was put on the field just 4 days after the injury against the Cincinnati Bengals. However, he had just been carried away midway through the game due to a concussion. While the league agreed to a rule change and that it was necessary, it never stated a timeline for this change. On the other hand, the Players Association demanded that it be done swiftly. The NFLPA made an official announcement that they had wanted enforcement to amend safety protocols for the safety of players before the next rounds of games. The association called on the league authorities to accept the change speedily. Next, the Commanders' rookie running back would be activated against the Titans. Insider sources have revealed that the Commanders would be activating their rookie running back, Brian Robinson Jr., for their game against the Titans on the weekend. Although the young star appeared in the practice for only a week after recovering from his injury, he'd play. Robinson's likely to be Antonio Gibson's backup for the game, and sources have revealed a plan of around 20 snaps for the youngster. The news is heartwarming, especially because Robinson was recently shot twice during an attempted robbery in Washington, D.C. He's in luck, since the shots to his lower body went clean through the body. Commanders coach Ron Rivera stated that, talking to the reporters, that they were all pretty excited. The team reportedly put in some work, including some simulated activities with the running back to prepare him for the game. Even though the rookie only practiced with the team for only a week, he put in some impressive work. As per the offensive coordinator Scott Turner, the star looked great at practice. However, he also maintained that since it's his first time playing in the league, and he's coming off an injury as well, he'd be featured for a short while to get him going. Lastly, Andy Dalton is expected to start for the Saints against Seahawks. The New Orleans Saints would be hosted by the Seattle Seahawks for their next match, and as per the reports, New Orleans is expected to use Andy Dalton to start as the quarterback instead of the usual starters, Jameis Winston. Jameis has been given the status of doubtful for the match after missing the recent game against Minnesota. The Saints would need Dalton to bring his A-game, just like his performance in London against the Seahawks during the London game. The quarterback completed 20 of 28 passes for 236 yards and a touchdown. He's a veteran player and is regarded as one of the most reliable backup quarterbacks in the league. It feels that the effort made by the Saints during the offseason to acquire Andy are finally paying off. Whether he'll be able to perform against the Seattle Seahawks, only time will tell. However, if the recent stats are any indication, the 34-year-old has all the potential to bring the victory home. But that's a wrap for this video, my friends. What are your thoughts on the mistakes made by Trey Lance and his response to them? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more just like it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.